It's Friday. He's James. I'm Kyle. Joe Brazil's over there. We're hanging out with you till noon here on ESPN 1320. Then we'll hand it off to D-Lo and KC. Weird start to the morning. Wanted to get out of bed before 6 a.m. Because I typically try to leave about 6:15. I got out of bed about 6:40. I decided to sleep in a little today. Hoping that it would change the vibe a little bit. And man, a 130 to 104 loss is not what you wanted last night.
Yeah, you know what? I think the best part about today is that we got here and yesterday's breakfast was still in the refrigerator.
That was big time.
We were able to bust in and start having breakfast again.
And then Megan, our great promotions manager, is that her official title? Promotions manager? Came down and is like, hey, by the way, this is all getting thrown out if nobody takes it. So take whatever you want home. All right. Bacon and eggs all weekend. You got it.
That's right.
Can't wait.
Might have to take home like 47 small pancakes.
That's a good Jiffy Lube keyword, by the way. That's really, really strong by you. The thing that jumped out the most to me last night was the juxtaposition of how Golden State's offense thrived while the Kings were doubling Steph and getting the ball out of his hands, and the Warriors having answers to everything the Kings were trying to do defensively. And then the Kings' response is DeMar DeRozan or somebody dribble around and take a tough shot. Like there was cohesiveness on one end, where there is a system, and it's when this gets taken away, here's the answer, and when this gets taken away, there's the answer. And then on the other end, it was hope someone makes their wild shot. Hope they start knocking some down, and the Warriors started turning the ball over. The Kings played some good defense, and they made it a game through the end of the second quarter and through the third quarter. But man, it was really glaring, the Kings' issues on both sides of the ball last night.
Yeah, okay, so the offensive side of the ball is a total mess, but
disaster.
The defensive side of the ball, like you could see the remnants of what they were trying to do.
Yes.
Right? It was very clear. The idea was we'll allow Draymond Green or Quentin Post to shoot from the corner and maybe beat us. We'll allow Gary Payton III to shoot from the corner and maybe beat us, right? Guy Santos, whoever it is.
Sure.
We're going to stop Steph.
Yep.
And then we're going to do our best to stop Jimmy Butler as well.
Yep.
And when the shots started to hit, there's this big discrepancy here between what it means to allow someone to shoot a corner three and what it means to not even try to defend somebody at all.
That's it, dude.
It was a joke.
That's it.
Straight up. I don't want to see another player standing on the edge of the box looking at a three-point shooter and they don't even move.
Not even making them think about it.
Not even trying to make some sort of failed attempt at a closeout. Just embarrassing.
And I don't want to speak out of both sides of I'll say our mouths, because we said yesterday, like, man, you want GP2 and Draymond Green. Those are the guys you want shooting threes. If Jimmy Butler wants to line one up, go ahead. But to your point, you still have to make them think about it. You still have to make them. It can't be Gary Payton II gets to catch it, spin the ball in his hands, get his feet settled, and take a warm-up three.
And they look at him, and it was almost like, oh,
good.
Go ahead.
The defense work.
I'm going to sit here in case the ball comes off the iron.
And okay, that's a fine strategy if it's a guy who's shooting 20% from three.
Mm-hmm.
If that's Jimmy Butler, who I think is 5 of 25 from three with the Warriors, if he's going to shoot it, like, okay, cool, leave him. But Gary Payton II is shooting it decent this year. Draymond Green is shooting it decent this year. And when Draymond starts the game 2 for 2 from the exact same spot, hey, maybe do something a little different. Just a little bit. And that they continued letting 22 of 39, and you held Steph Curry to 2 of 6 from three. And the rest of the Warriors were 20 of 33. And they hit some. There were a couple. Gary Payton II hit a contested one in the corner that was silly. Buddy Hield hit a tough one in there. But other than that, it was like, man, these are just wide open looks.
Kyle, in the first quarter, they shot 7 of 13 from 3.
Good God.
And only one of those came from Steph Curry.
Good Lord, man.
He was 1 of 2. You got 2 from Green. You got 2 from Post. You got 1 from Gary Payton. You got 1 from Buddy Hield. Like, at the end of the game, the guys that hit threes against you that were, again, just breaking, like, it was Quentin Post.
Mhm.
It was Draymond Green. It was Buddy Hield hit a handful, Guy Santos, and Gary Payton. Those 5 players went 16 of 26 from 3.
That's outrageous.
That's ball game.
That's outrageous.
You don't have a shot if their third-tier guys and second-tier guys light you up for 16 to 26 from 3.
Which players were those? Say those names again.
It was Buddy.
Okay.
I threw Buddy in,
Yep,
but it's
4 of 6.
It's Draymond Green, Quentin Post, Guy Santos, and Gary Payton. I didn't even include Moses Moody, who, again, crushed you from the three-point line.
Do you know he's like 50, 40, 90 since becoming a starter? They were saying that on the broadcast last night. I had no idea he was playing that well, but Guy Santos, Buddy Hield, Draymond Green, and Quentin Post, a rookie second-round pick, those 4 guys made more threes than the Kings did.
Oh, yeah.
Those 4 guys outscored the entire Kings roster from the three-point line. Right? There's no... I don't even... And this is the concerning part for me. If they had come out... I thought against the Knicks, they came out flat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they came out flat last night. I think they just kind of got beat. And that's the thing that worries me more than anything. Is that I didn't feel last night like they threw their jerseys on the floor and went, oh, okay, whatever.
No, but it's just like, first of all, the scheme, that you just can't do that.
It didn't work.
And you have to adjust so quickly if that
Right.
is what's happening.
Yep.
And to not make the adjustment, and, the first quarter is one thing. You get to the second quarter, and again, it's 1 of 1. It's 1 of 3. It's 2 of 2 for Gary Payton. Guy Santos, again, 1 of 1. Like, it's one thing to try to take away Steph, but when that's not working and you just keep falling behind, I don't know what to say. Like, there has to come a point where you have to have some sort of shift in what you're doing. And I thought maybe they weren't flat, but they were sloppy.
Yep.
They were slow to the ball like they were against the Knicks.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, Valanciunas got played off the court.
Mm-hmm.
And, people could argue that or not. But, I mean, Doug Christie started Trey Lyles in the second half because he got played off the court.
They were putting him in a pick and roll, and Steph was cooking him. Or whoever had the ball was just running around him. Like, that was a problem. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. But I think to this point, you're right. They have to adjust on the fly. Like, that's something you have to be able to do. And I'm sure that A, that's a really tough thing to do. And B, it's even tougher when you're a month in with this group of players, month and a half in with this group of players, and you have a rookie head coach.
Yeah.
Like, that just makes that mountain even steeper. And you have to figure it out. Like, you're running out of games here to get to a 7 or 8 seed. So you have to figure that out on the fly. But also, when you're watching last night, you mentioned, okay, Jonas Valanciunas only played 14 minutes, but what else would you have done last night? If you have complaints about how that game was coached, outside of like, hey, maybe don't double Steph. Okay, like, that's the answer. That I just don't. We know this roster is not shorthanded, not properly equipped to really play high-level defense against a high-level offensive team, a well-oiled machine, which is what Golden State is. They've had a bunch of guys playing together for several years now, and the Kings don't have the defenders equipped to handle that. Like, you can throw Keon Ellis on Steph, and you can throw Keegan Murray on Jimmy Butler. That's great. You held those guys to a combined, Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, 6 of 14 from the field for 17 points.
Yeah, he did a really nice job there.
The problem is everyone else.
Yeah.
You have no answer. Draymond Green poured in 23 points.
Man, he had the floater.
The floater in the lane was when it was over.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, all right.
Well, that's going down. Yeah, this game is over.
The thing that concerns me the most out of this loss is that it just not for the first time, but it was really, really obvious that they just don't have the dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just don't have the guys to get the stops they needed to get in this game and to make the adjustments they needed to make in this game.
Yeah, anytime they got remotely close, they got to 6 a couple of times in the third.
Yeah.
Then the Warriors would just hit a bunch of threes.
Yep.
And then boom, it's over.
Right back to 12.
Yeah, and I get that you had a design, and I like, to be honest with you, it really, really worked to shut down Jimmy Butler, and it really worked to shut down Steph Curry.
Jimmy Butler only 2 free throws as well.
Yeah, but you can't just concede like what are like nobody in the gym 3-point shots.
Yeah,
like somebody has to do something to run at somebody, and you let them get in a rhythm, and it became like contagious. Yep. Everyone hit.
And then by the end, when the Kings are just chipping away, and they honestly, they hung around longer than I expected them to in the third quarter. Like, and I say hung around in that, all right, it's at 13. Okay, they got it to 9. Oh, back to 11. Okay, got it to 7. And they just couldn't quite get over that hump, right? What that turned into was, okay, they're doing everything they can to run Golden State off the line, and now it's a layup line. That's so many open dunks, open layups as they pulled away at the end of that game. And I think that it's the shortcomings on the Kings roster just kind of got exposed last night.
Yeah, and like, even I know I put in my 6 quick thoughts last night that it wasn't a blowout. I mean, it ends up being what, a 24-point loss, right? 26. But how much of that came after the game was totally over? It was like a 14-point game, and then all of a sudden, the Kings went. Still. Yeah, the Kings went to their bench unit. Went
3.5 minutes left, down 20.
Okay. Yeah, and even before that, it was like, all right, they got a couple of shots to put it away, and then the Kings' second unit didn't score. The third unit didn't score anything at all.
Yeah,
it was brutal to watch. Yeah, I don't know what to do in that situation. I mean, I would have at least tried maybe Isaac Jones to give yourself a little bit of a different look as a big. I didn't think Trey Lyles was horrible. I thought Trey Lyles actually had a pretty decent game. But again, you got to a point where I don't think you could play Valanciunas, and then there was a stretch where they had Keegan Murray playing the 5. Like it just got like completely out of control.
You cannot be reliant on Trey Lyles. And I know that Domantas Sabonis is hurt, and that changes the calculus on their rotations. But if it's, hey, Trey Lyles, go give us 22 good minutes tonight, you can't bank on that. Like, you might get it.
Yeah.
But especially this year, he's not had a great year.
No, he's been all over the board.
And you can't just be like, oh, hey, we know for sure Trey Lyles is going to go in. We have to run this small ball, and we feel great about it. It's, all right, Trey's going to Trey and pray.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought the second unit outplayed the first unit. The Kings' second unit completely outplayed the first unit. I thought, whether it's Keon, Jake LaRavia, or Trey Lyles, I thought they were just so much better than what was happening with the first unit. Yeah. And we haven't even got to the elephant in the room. This whole Zach LaVine thing. Like, bro.
I can't tell. I can't tell if this is a taking a back seat or if this is like open rebellion. I don't. Zach LaVine, who you and I, not like huge fans of the addition, but we're very willing to concede. Yeah, that is a dynamite offensive player.
Fun to watch.
Literally, statistically, the most efficient guard in the league. Just doing incredible work beyond the arc, at the rim. He is an awesome offensive player. He has taken 16 shots in the last 2 games, and he has played 61 minutes, 68 minutes, 68 minutes.
68 minutes. I asked him very specifically at practice the other day about, taking a step back offensively, having a rough night against the Knicks. And he said, oh, I didn't have a rough night. I shot more than 50%. I shot 50% from the field and better than
Yeah.
50% from three. And then I look at last night and I'm like, does he think that last night he had a good night? Because he was 5 of 6 from the field and 4 of 4 from three. Just like hands up in the air. He had a great night. He was so efficient.
And he took one fewer shot than Jonas Valanciunas, who played 14 minutes.
6 players on the Kings had more shots than him. I don't want to know how many players on the Warriors had. I think it's 6.
How many
1, 2,
more had
3, 4, 5. 6 players had 7 shots or more for the Kings.
The Warriors had 7.
So 14 players shot more shots than Zach LaVine, your leading scorer. Just very, very strange, man.
So weird. All right. I have plenty to get into from this game. We're still doing a Jiffy Lube giveaway. Just because the Kings don't look great doesn't mean the Jiffy Lube is not trying to hook you up. We'll have your Jiffy Lube keyword of the day. We'll have more on this Kings loss to Golden State, but turn around and look ahead to tonight's game down in Phoenix as well. Buckle up, everybody. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil's pushing buttons. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. Joe, is the word in? My man.
Boom.
Real quick, I just wanted to say shout out to my little brother Jake. He's moving up. He got a new job, great new job. He's a big inspiration for what I do and why I work so hard. So I just want to say shout out my little brother Jake Brazil. I love you, buddy. Congratulations. Let's go,
Jake.
Here we go.
That's big time.
Good work.
Look at the Brazil bros. Just climbing ladders.
Yeah, it's been a good month
love
or
this
so.
for you.
So
we love this for both.
Love you, buddy.
Nice job.
There he is right there.
Hey.
Drew down. I don't have a lot of thoughts on Kuminga last night. He hasn't played in, I don't know, 30-something games.
Yeah. His minutes were
and I'm not
truncated.
gonna act like the Kings defense was good. I also thought Keon Ellis, that's 2 games in a row where Keon Ellis has been put on a much bigger player and just not been able to do anything.
And
that's okay. But
it's you know what? I'm gonna save this. I have I'm gonna talk about football during breaks because we're doing all basketball today. Did a little mock draft last night. You can read it at NinersWire.com. Shout out to PFF, their mock draft simulator. Made 2 trades, one back in the first round and one up in the third round. Made 6 picks in the first 101. I think that's good strategy. Didn't love the way I attacked the defensive line. Probably could have done that differently. But it was best player available in the first round. Had to go the direction I went. And then tried to find value on the defensive line, and I think I did an okay job. If you want to read it, NinersWire.com. Jalen Royals, wide receiver, Utah State. Big fan. Big Jalen Royals guy.
You had them going with a cornerback in the first round, right?
Yeah, Will Johnson.
That's tough, though, because they just need...
Yeah, I don't know that they value cornerback enough, but I think Will Johnson's an awesome player.
Okay.
And if he's available at 11, it wouldn't shock me if they're just like, yeah, he's the best player on our board. We need a starting corner. Here you go. And if you trade back and he's still there, like,
yeah, I would look at offensive tackle, defensive end at that number 11 spot. And I would also try to move back. That's a good question. Chris Ochoa, Kyle, if you had a guess today, what position are the 49ers drafting?
Defensive line. They've released Leonard Floyd, Malik Collins, Javon Hargrave. Is that it?
I think that's it, because I don't think they had anyone else.
Yeah, they just don't have any dudes. on the defensive line. So I think that's the route they're going.
Jay, can we expect a complete roast of ownership and front office by Sac Media? Yeah, I mean, I think we've been hard on them the whole time. I think it's going to get noisier here in the next week or so, though.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
All right, this is a tertiary concern from the Kings 130-104 loss to the Warriors last night. This is I want to get into some more pressing things, but it is deeply concerning to me that Golden State can look at the Kings offense and say, we're just going to stick Steph on Keegan Murray, and that's going to go fine for us. And then it does go fine for them. Steph is not a turnstile on defense. He tries really hard. Like, he's not, but Keegan Murray has 5 inches on him.
Yep.
And several pounds.
Probably 30.
That should be a matchup that you can exploit in a way that makes the Warriors warp their defense a little bit.
Especially when you don't have a natural shot blocker.
Right. So he took 10 shots, but he went 2 for 10, and I think both of his makes were from 3.
Well, of his 10 shots, 8 of them came from 3.
Yeah, we can't get into the little mid-range. We can't get Keegan on the block. Nothing. Steph just gets to hang out on the perimeter with Keegan. That is the perfect encapsulation of everything that I have been worried about with Keegan Murray. And again, this is a separate thing from last night's loss. This is a bigger picture thing. That's it. That shouldn't be a thing that A, Golden State feels comfortable doing, and B, if they do, that it doesn't get exploited at all.
Yeah, it's tough, man. There's so much that goes into defending Steph on one end, but you have to make him work on the other side of the ball.
Yep. And
if you don't make him work, you just let him run free and let him have all of his energy. Now, again, he didn't have a big night. Nope. And so I think the Kings did a really, really good job of not letting Steph have a big night. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I don't care that Steph scored 11 points. He got beat by 26 points.
Well, and when that defensive strategy, which you're right, we did say, whatever you got to do to make sure Steph doesn't beat you, but when other guys start beating you, you got to change. Because because he's been dealing with this his whole career, he manipulates your defense by going, okay, I know these two guys are going to come with me, so I'm just going to kind of fade back here and we're going to get an open back cut.
Yep.
Or I'm going to head toward the top of the key and somebody's going to be wide open in the corner. Did you see the video of late in the game, Kuminga goes baseline dunk, and Steph is standing maybe 12 feet from the basket. Keegan is standing next to him. Kuminga goes in for a dunk, and Steph literally points at Keegan and points at the box or the block.
Yeah.
And he's like, you need to go there. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But that was the game plan. Hey, don't leave Steph.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it means a wide open dunk, just don't leave number 30. You got, at some point, you have to be able to adapt that.
No, I totally agree. And, even Steph hits his 4,003 of his career, right? Mm-hmm. And the place erupts. Mm-hmm. Zach LaVine hit right back with a 3 of his own, and it was still a 6 or 7 point game at that point.
Yeah.
The game was close. The crowd was going bonkers, and you were right in it.
Yep.
And then you just stopped. And, to me, very, very disappointing just how the entire game played out. But really, the fight and the inability to make adjustments on the fly. At some point, you had to do something different.
I have a question. Do you think that what you're talking about right now, how they because they did. They fought back, but they couldn't quite. Like it got to 6, but then you're right back to 12.
Mm-hmm.
All right, get it back to 7. It's up to 11. All right, got it back to 6. Oh, back to 10. And they just couldn't quite get over that 2-possession hump.
Yeah.
I just couldn't quite. And I think if they had, maybe it goes a little bit differently. Do you think that the way they I'm trying to the way they kind of fell off over the last 18 or so minutes of the game last night?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that was informed at all by what happened against the Clippers and knowing that, hey, we got a game against the Suns tomorrow that we're going to need? We can't get over the 6-point hump, so we're going to coast.
Maybe, but like you got to get some of these guys like back in a rhythm.
Yeah,
right. Like
I'm not saying it would have been the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think Doug left Malik Monk out there a little bit longer than you would have liked.
Yeah,
but it was like strictly like, hey man, you have got to figure this out. I mean, he goes 3 of 13 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3. He scores 7 points. He turns the ball over 4 times. Like this was a colossal like meltdown by Malik Monk. Again, Zach LaVine, 5 turnovers. Like not only did you not shoot the ball enough, you take 6 shots, but you turn the ball over 5 times. And
you had as many made shots as turnovers?
Yeah. Whew. Just so you know, everybody on the team like almost everybody had a negative. The only one who didn't have a negative was Trey Lyles. He was a +4, right? Zach LaVine ran a -34 for the night. The next 2 worst players on the Kings ran -17s. So he was they scored twice as many points against when he was on the court than when anyone else was. Absolutely
crazy.
It's crazy how they just couldn't figure anything out on the fly. And again, like in a game like this, there's enough finger pointing to go around, but you just can't have a situation where your best scorer is 5 of 6 and hits all 4 of his threes and has the 7th most shots on your team.
In that along those lines, in that vein, Malik Monk, since saying that watching the game and realizing that, or he learned while he was out and watching the game that he needed to be more of a distributor for the Kings. He's led the team in shots twice in 2 games.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. Like he's not playing well at all. Much.
So Steve Kerr said this about Golden State. He said this on, I believe, on 95.7 with Willard and Dibbs. He said that this year's roster fits together better because they used to have too many overlapping parts. That is the fundamental issue with the Kings roster right now. They have too many overlapping parts.
Yeah.
Because Malik Monk wants to do what Zach LaVine wants to do, what DeMar DeRozan wants to do, and what we want Keegan Murray to do. And then you have Domantas Sabonis, who's one of the most effective passing centers the sport has ever seen. So you have to figure out a way to get all of those parts moving in the same direction, and they don't want to.
No, there's a lot of fighting back on the court. You can see it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like, no, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's not a like DeMar DeRozan, I think, had 7 assists last night. And that's great. You love to see that number, but that's not because he's looking to set up teammates. It's because, there's a double. There's an obvious pass. I'm going to make it. But a lot of the time that double comes and it's like, all right, let me get this shot up. Or let me get rid of the ball, make the defense reset, and give me back the ball.
Yeah.
And I think what we're seeing from a guy like Zach LaVine is there's deferring and going, all right, well, somebody else needs to do something different. But in deferring, he's just not doing anything. It's not, I'm going to defer and take on this role. Devin Booker in the Olympics. Remember when we were talking about how effective he was?
Yep.
Because Devin Booker didn't say, I'm going to be on the court and do all my normal stuff. I'm just not going to shoot it. It was, I need to do something different. I'm going to be more of a distributor. I'm going to stand in the corner. I'm going to play good defense. And that's what I'm going to do on this team. We're not seeing that. We're just seeing a bunch of guys who don't know exactly how they fit together.
It's funny because what you're describing is something that I always gave Harrison Barnes props for. When Harrison Barnes saw a problem on the court with the team, it's like, hey, we're not rebounding at all tonight. I'm going to go get 8 boards. Or it was like, oh, we can't shoot the 3. Oh, I'm going to go hit a couple of 3s.
Right.
Or like, look, we got to stop this thing. I'm going to get to the free throw line.
Yep.
He'd get to the free throw line.
Yep.
There's no one who's taking on that role right now of what is missing.
Mhm.
How can I help?
Mhm.
There's just not.
And I think a guy like Jake LaRavia, I think fits that. I think Keon Ellis fits that kind of role.
Mhm.
But I think their skill sets are a little bit limited in how they can go about impacting the game in those ways.
Yeah.
Like Keon's skill set is not, hey, I'm going to go stop a run by getting to the line.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what that's and that's been kind of the problem that we've been talking about. Just the kind of 30,000 foot view is okay. They have enough talent that they can string some wins together for sure. If you told me they made a run and they were the 8 seed this year, wouldn't be shocked at all.
Mhm.
Wouldn't be even a little surprised. But when you start looking at what are the flaws here, can they figure X, Y, and Z out? It's like, I don't think they can, because you have too many established veteran players trying to all fit into the same role. And if there's, I don't know how many, there's like 9 roles you need to fill on a championship team, right? They have like 4 guys filling one role.
Yeah.
And then you have these other guys who are probably a little bit underqualified to try and fill the roles they're filling. And it leads to stuff like this, where we're not really sure what they're doing offensively. And they don't have, when Golden State gets in a tough spot, they have plays they can run, they have sets they can run, they have go-to things they can do that, hey, this is going to get us a layup, this is going to get us an open corner 3, whatever it is. When the Kings get into a tight spot, it's like, hey, DeMar, can you just get to the free throw line maybe? And that's like it. Malik, can you hit a tough 3? There's not like a go-to, okay, this is rock solid, here's what we do in crunch time. It's stand around and watch.
It's stand around and watch DeMar. That's
Yeah.
And I get what you're saying, because, like, again, we've talked about it so many times. Early this season, there was a very clear pecking order. It was De'Aaron Fox is number 1, Domantas Sabonis is number 2, Malik Monk is number 3, with, well, maybe 3 and 4 is DeMar DeRozan and Malik Monk. Number 5 is Keegan Murray, and then you just keep going down. Like, you could easily see it. Right now, it feels like there's no number 1 at all. There's a couple of number 2s and a bunch of number 3s, and they all just kind of blend in together. And so there is no moment where it's like, hey, number 1, feed the hot hand. There's none of that going on. Number 2, there is no, hey, get somebody a wide open look, let's get them going. That doesn't happen at all. The pick and roll is gone. Like, we're not seeing Malik Monk even use his superpower to get downhill. This is not even in existence. Part of that is because he's beat up, and you can see it. He's just not moving like he normally does. The other thing is he's just not hitting his shots, which again goes back to the fact that his legs are shot. Even though he just took a couple of games off, he looks like his legs are beat up and like he doesn't have the lift. So it's a bit of an issue. Like, I don't know how you climb out of this right now. And the problem the Kings have is that the NBA doesn't wait for you to figure it out. Like, they play again tonight. And what's going to happen tonight? I don't know, because this is another beatable team. Just like last night, like the Golden State Warriors are playing well right now. That's still a gettable game. It is. They're a beatable team. They're not a team that you should walk in there and get just crushed. The same thing with the Knicks. The Knicks are a really good team. The Knicks didn't have Jalen Brunson. Like, they're not the same team without him. They just lost 3 in a row. And they walked into your building and they smacked you around. Yeah, that's it. Like, this isn't to say the Kings should have won either of those games necessarily, but especially like Golden State's now 13-2 since the deadline. And I think they're now 13-1 with Jimmy Butler in the lineup. I think that's right. Yeah. 12-1, 13-1. No, I think, are you, oh yeah, they did lose one game. Yeah. Yeah, it's Dallas. So even you shouldn't lose that way. And same thing with the Knicks. Okay, maybe you drop one of the Knicks, but you shouldn't be getting just run off the floor. Yeah. And that's what's particularly disappointing. They look like the team that when turmoil hit with De'Aaron Fox, that came out and got smacked around twice. That's what they looked like today. And it's like, okay, what's the reasoning this time? Like, what's going on that would make it, you had De'Aaron Fox come through town and that threw you guys off kilter? Is that what happened? I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Like, this team right now just looks like they are, like, out of it. They've got to find their soul again. and that's never a good thing. And, again, Domantas Sabonis, if he returns tonight, which we don't know whether he's going to be back
We
or
have no
not.
idea.
We have no idea. Like, there was a lot of expectations that he would play last night.
Mhm.
But with the same time, I said I was at practice the day before. Both Zach LaVine and Doug Christie both said, yeah, we're not sure if he's going to play or not. They didn't give us Domantas Sabonis, even though it was requested. They didn't give him to us that day, which was also sort of a red flag that we should have picked up on, that he might not play. And then, we have no idea. I don't think you wanted him playing the back-to-back, so it's possible he's playing tonight. And it's possible that they looked at it and said, okay, we've got a better chance of beating Phoenix, and that's a more important game for us than the Warriors game.
Man, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
We're still giving stuff away.
We are.
Jiffy Lube hooked us up with $50 gift certificates, and they hooked us up with these sweet Insiders hoodies that are exclusive to this giveaway. We're just going to give you a keyword, and you're going to enter it at ESPN1320.com, the Jiffy Lube contest page, front and center. You can't miss it. ESPN1320.com. Today's code word is corner. Please explain.
It's that place that the Kings just left open all night long.
Oh.
The corner where the Golden State Warriors hit all their threes. That corner spot.
CORNER, corner.
The easiest three-point shot in the game.
And they just left him open.
Left them wide open. Stood there and watched.
Didn't make any sense, man. Oof. Now 4.5 back of the number 6 seed. 2.5 back of the 8 seed. 16 games left.
We should tell it. So right now, go to ESPN1320.com, click on the Jiffy Lube logo, and
I said that contest page. It's front and center.
All right.
Enter the code word corner.
And the code word is corner.
You can win a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate, exclusive Insiders hoodie.
There it is.
Giveaway.
Got it.
Nailed it. Corner. I don't know, man. Where were we? Malik?
I don't know. Yeah, Malik. There's so many things to just tear apart in this game.
I kind of wonder, because we speculated last year that maybe by the end of the year, you got guys like De'Aaron and Domas kind of looking down the bench and going, ugh, this isn't it. I wonder if they're dealing with a little bit of the same thing now, where Zach LaVine's looking around and Malik Monk's looking around and DeMar DeRozan's looking around and going, hey, we're Spider-Man pointing meme here. We're all same kind of thing, and we're all standing around trying to figure out where we fit, and nobody's really fitting in, and the offense is DeMar DeRozan dribbles around and scores when we need a big bucket, so what do I do if I'm not scoring when we need a big bucket? Just doesn't...
No, that's what it feels like. It does feel like that there isn't
They're all realizing, there's no run to be had with this team.
Yeah, and the one guy who is there's no run to be had, but I'm going to go get mine, is DeMar DeRozan. You can see that he's like, yeah, I've been here before. I don't care. I'm just going to go score my points. And it's not in a horribly selfish way. It's just hey, I see what's going on, and I know where we're headed, and I'm just going to go out there and score as many points as possible and move up the all-time scoring list and do my thing.
If he hadn't done that last night, by the way, he gained on Steph Curry big time on the all-time scoring list.
Oh, there it is. Picked up 12 points.
If he hadn't, what was it? Was it the second quarter? Yeah, second quarter he goes 3 for 4. Third quarter he goes 3 for 3. And the first quarter he was 2 for 5. If he doesn't have an efficient 8 for 13 night, that game gets ugly a lot earlier than it did.
Oh, I totally agree. I'm not calling DeMar out for anything that he outside of not defending the corner three at all.
Sure.
But there comes a point where somebody's got to help. Somebody's got to do something on the defensive end. It's nice so that he at least gave them a solid, efficient scoring night.
I guess. We had the over/under at 4.5 wins against teams above 500 to close the year. 0-1 to start. Nope, don't have another one tonight. Phoenix is sub 500. You got to go win tonight. And we're going to talk about that game tonight in Phoenix coming up next. We got plenty more to say about the Kings-Warriors game. I have one major question for you about that game, but we got to get to this Kings-Suns game first, and we'll do that next. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. That's Joe Brazil, and we're the Insiders on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Center. Clear. I will be right at the back.
All right.
How much time do I? Oh, we got.
What's going on, everybody? Yeah, Mark Souza, I think this is part of it. This team was not playing well even in their wins versus bad teams. But then they started winning really well against bad teams. They started actually like turning the screws on teams, and you're like, oh, maybe they have figured it out. But again, bad teams are bad teams, and you've got to remember that in the second half of the season or the final 25 game sprint after the All-Star break, that bad teams just lay down most of the time because they're looking for a loss. And they get to the third quarter, and whatever worked in the first half, they do less of that in the second half. They go away from players that were working really well and maybe had some matchups advantages. Let's see. What is the first move? Assuming we finish ninth and lose our picks. To be honest with you, I'd sit in a room and really contemplate what my core was, who I'm moving forward with, who I'm not moving forward with, how can I move off of contracts. One of my first things that I would do is probably see if what I could get with DeMar DeRozan and a handful of picks. If I can get, a 25 to $30 million player, that's what I would do. But that's not because DeMar is a horrible player. It's very specific. He's 35 going on 36, and his contract is a good enough contract that teams will take on for a year, especially with his productivity, and have no problems taking on that contract and maybe giving you something that's really good if you throw in 1 or 2 first round picks, maybe 3 first round picks. So hey, Brian, I don't disagree with this at this point. Like, somebody has to go to the bench because Keon Ellis gives you a better shot at winning. That's it. Like, it doesn't matter what the points per game are, or the assists per game, or anything else. Like, Keon gives you a better opportunity to win basketball games, and he probably should start. Now, you can bring him in at the 4-minute mark or the 6-minute mark, whatever you want. He's still getting 30 minutes, but it doesn't matter. Like, if you're getting off to a bad start every single night, you got to figure it out. And like, you can say Monk, but I could counter with DeRozan. I could counter with Levine. Like, somebody has to go to the bench, and so Keon Ellis can help the team win. I'd say the easiest way to fix the Malik Monk situation is to somehow get a point guard that's way better than Malik Monk. That would be the easiest way to fix it. I don't know how you do that, but like, you got it. You got into a situation with Malik where, again, ownership was part of that decision, just so everyone knows. Like, him going into the starting lineup, that wasn't just Mike Brown's decision. And once you made that move, it was always going to be difficult to go back. But if it's not working, it's not working. That's like straight up. Like, I don't want to sugarcoat it. I think he was better in the 6-man role. It's what we said forever. It's what I said forever. Like, I just think it's a better spot for him. I also said that there was no way to do it. Like, once you made that move, and it was over.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
He's James, I'm Kyle, Joe Brazil on the ones and twos, and we're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Kings and Suns tonight in Phoenix, second night of a back-to-back for the Kings. New biggest game of the year?
Yeah, I don't think there are any big games left this year. I don't. Like, you just kind of see how this thing is going to end up. They're going to be the 9 or the 10, most likely the 9. I don't think that there are a lot of big games left this year.
Really?
Yeah, just by looking at them, we can talk about, the biggest game of the year.
All right, hey, there's a stupid basketball game in Phoenix tonight. Kings looking to take the season series from the Suns already 2-0 against them. The Dallas Mavericks are playing with like 6 dudes, 2 army men, some Lincoln Logs, and a traffic cone. And the Suns have lost ground in the standings on them over the past week.
I mean,
That's
Kessler,
so brutal.
Kings legend Kessler Edwards has been starting at center for them. A 6'8" Kessler Edwards has been starting at center.
I would take Kessler Edwards on the Kings right now.
Yeah. I mean, wasn't it Nick Stauskas, former Kings legend?
To hell with Nick
went out and
Stauskas.
said something
to hell
like,
with
yeah, though, like, if you're going to go out and say, hey, why is Kessler Edwards in the league? It's like, well, because he did a whole lot of things that you never did in your entire career, and that's why you're out of the league and he's in it. He listens. He works hard. How about that, Nick?
If I was Nick Stauskas, you would never hear me commenting on the NBA again.
Ever.
Much less, I'll have takes, I'll have thoughts. Much less, why is that guy in the league? Bruh. Read the room.
Bruh.
That guy sucks. Sauce Castillo sucks.
You were a top 10 pick and a bust at that. Nick Stauskas, so people know, he's 31 years old. He is easily young enough
prime right now
to play in the NBA. Yeah.
Woof. Suns have lost 2 in a row. They've lost 11 of their last 15. The Kings, obviously, we've talked a lot about how disappointing this season has been for them. But from a like league-wide perspective, is there a more disappointing team than Phoenix?
No. Well,
I think Philly's probably there.
Yeah.
But I would yes, no doubt. For them it's gone. But I think when we were looking before the year, we were going, hey, like Joel Embiid played basketball all summer. Like high-level basketball all summer. Can he be healthy again? And then Paul George, can he be healthy again? Like, that's pretty precarious. Like, what happened to Philly is just, their dudes got hurt. That was, okay. That makes
they got
sense.
old and they got hurt.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. What's happened? Phoenix has actually been relatively healthy.
Yeah.
If you had told me that at this point of the year, Devin Booker has played the amount of games he's played. I'm trying to get to, I lost Phoenix's schedule here. Hang on. If you had told me 66 games into the year for Phoenix, and they've gotten 60 games out of Devin Booker, 53 out of Kevin Durant, and 46 out of Bradley Beal, I'm like, oh man, probably doing all right.
Yeah.
And maybe not, but they were a team I figured would be right in the mix with Golden State, the Clippers, Minnesota. We can throw the Kings in there. But for that like 6, 7, 8, they were going to be right there in that mix.
Yeah, I think 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 all open, but you figured Phoenix would be more towards the top end of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're just not.
No.
And then you go, it's like they added Tyus Jones. We went, hey, organizer on offense, good player, effective player. Again, 5.8 assists to 1.3 turnovers this year, playing 28 minutes a night. Devin Booker, you love Book, especially coming off Team USA. And man, probably learned a lot being around those guys. Royce O'Neal's a good player. Ryan Dunn's been a nice little player for them.
They went out and got a Plumlee to back up Nurkic.
They got a Plumlee. They then traded Nurkic to bring in Nick Richards, who's a decent player. You still have Kevin Durant. Grayson Allen's coming off a career year. Bradley Beal, the biggest thing is his health. You look at their roster, it's not bad. Bull's been playing well.
Yeah.
their roster and you're like, these guys shouldn't stink.
It doesn't make any sense what's
They-
happened to this team.
They just hate each other, I think. I think they're just miserable.
Yeah, they are. I would agree. They are just miserable at this point. And, I think everyone expects Kevin Durant to get traded this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And, the owner came out yesterday, and said they're not trading Devin Booker at all. But that's the guy. If I'm a team on the outside looking in, if I'm a team like the San Antonio Spurs, who has a bunch of draft picks and has some talent, and you might be able to go get, they're talking about maybe going to get Kevin Durant. I would really look at going to get Devin Booker and pairing him with De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama for the next 5 years. That has some real pop.
Yeah.
But if he's not available, they're just a mess, man. I don't know why they're so bad. And, they went out and they got a new head coach again, but another new high-end head coach in Mike Budenholzer.
That's a good coach.
It's just a mess, though. He's a good coach, but he's been run out of a couple of spots already.
Sure.
So
he had a ton of success in Atlanta, won a title with Milwaukee, and now Phoenix is just a catastrophe.
Yeah, it's a full-blown 5-alarm fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With not a lot of paths forward. King starters tonight. We'll see about Domantas Sabonis.
Yeah.
No injury report yet because it's the second night of a back-to-back for the Kings, but it's Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, and probably Domantas Sabonis. And for the Suns, looking at Brad Beal, Devin Booker, Royce O'Neal, Kevin Durant, and one of the Plumlees. Mason, right?
Mason Plumlee.
I
think Miles is out of the league.
Okay.
There's only one Plumlee left in the league.
There were 3 at one point, though, right?
There were 3.
Was there a third one in college? Mason, and someone help me out. Who was the third Plumlee?
Oh, Marshall
That's
Plumlee.
It. Was that the one that wanted to go into the Air Force and they were like, "You are too tall to fly in a plane, bro"?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. He played 21 games for the Knicks and 8 games for the Bucks back in the 2016-17 and 17-18 seasons.
How could I forget?
They had the 3 brothers. They all made it to the league.
No Kings injury report yet. Domantas Sabonis probably still questionable, though.
Yep.
At least just anecdotally. For the Suns, Cody Martin, Nick Richards, both of them questionable. Grayson Allen and Monty Morris doubtful for the Suns. Every piece matters for this team. So, man, Grayson Allen being out's a big deal. Makes him a little easier to defend. Nick Richards being out is a big deal.
Yeah,
if he's going to be out.
Yeah, if he's going to be out, he's one of the rim runner guys that really, like we've talked about this, he does give a guy like Jonas Valanciunas a little bit of a problem. Super physical, above the rim player, really exciting young player. But he's questionable. We'll see if he plays.
Matchup of the game tonight. This comes down to, and you have Keegan against Kevin Durant with Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal. You have to be able to defend one-on-one a little. So, all right, Keegan. Good luck. That if you start having to send 2 at Durant, he's going to make the right play and they're going to get an open shot.
Yeah, I mean, Durant is still unbelievable.
Yep.
Like it doesn't matter how he's aged well, despite the Achilles injury and everything else. He plays major minutes. He still plays some defense. And to be honest, he still hits his shot most of the time. He's an exceptional player and he always has been. So you got to figure out a way to stop one of these guys. I think the Kings will let Brad Beal kind of do his thing. He's hurt them a couple of times. But if you can slow Booker and you can slow Durant, this team starts to run out of firepower pretty quickly, especially if Grayson Allen's out.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, this is the problem. Is we can say, okay, Brad Beal, if he busts you up, then what are you going to do? But you can't do that anymore. You can't just keep going, you can just kind of because Bradley Beal is too good of a player for that. If you want to let, I don't know, let me find someone here. If you want to let, God, they got a bunch of good 3-point shooters. Bol, he's shooting 33% from 3. If you want to let him stand out in the corner or above the break and blaze away, all right, cool. But there's just not an opening tonight where you can just say, okay, yeah, if Brad Beal wants to go score 35 points, let him.
Yeah, man, you're right. They do have a lot of players shooting really
Yeah.
high. Wow.
They have they have 7 guys shooting above 38% from 3.
Well, yeah, I mean, Durant's at 41.3, Bradley Bill's at 39.3, 41.3 for Tyus Jones.
41.5 for Royce O'Neal.
Yeah, and Grayson Allen, if he plays 43.4, like he's a great 3-point shooter.
Colin Gillespie is the guy tonight.
It's probably going to be Colin Gillespie, who has a career high.
Colin Gillespie, I don't know if he'll get a career high. I think his career high is like 20-something. But that's the guy who's going to knock down a couple of threes. And it's going to be like, really, this guy?
His game high is in his career is 18.
18.
I'm calling for it. He's getting his career high tonight. Colin Gillespie.
Okay, very good. Yikes. What a tough spot.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, this is a moment where the Kings have to step up, and if you can win this game, it secures you as a play-in team. This would be the one that like it's over.
Yeah.
Like the Suns can't catch you, even if you fall to 10.
Yep.
The Suns won't be able to catch you, and you'll have the tiebreaker against them.
Yeah, because they'll have to pass you all the way.
Yeah, and you got one more game against them later in the year too.
Last game of the season, I think, right?
Yeah, either the last or second to the last. Yeah.
All right. James Ham's there. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil's also here. Last night was all about the Kings trying to stay in the hunt for the 6th seed. Tonight, it's all about just staying above the 10. We'll have keys to victory coming up here in a bit on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Center.
It's funny the Andres Biedrins video they had last night.
You know why they had him there, right?
Yeah, because he was the first assist. Yeah. Well, look at that. The Chiefs are re-signing Kareem Hunt to a 1-year deal. My
favorite thing on the highlight of Steph's first 3 is Kalena whiffing a screen. He screens the second, but I think he's supposed to get the first guy. I might have that wrong, but it looks funny on the replay.
What's going on, everybody? We're trying, I'm trying not to be so negative with everything because I know that's been such a big thing that everyone is so negative right now. But man, it's like being realistic about this team is negative. Like,
bro,
there's no way around it. I'd like to tell you it was different.
That's it. Is if you would like. And I haven't seen, I've been trying to keep up with the chatty house a little bit, but if you're either in the chatty house or if you're just watching, if you want sunshine and rainbows, like give us a reason.
Yeah.
Like that. I will, I'm open to it. I'll listen, but hey, maybe everyone starts hitting all their shots that doesn't play. If you just want to be eternally optimistic, that's cool. Like, please go for it.
Yep.
I have a ton of reasons for optimism though right
now. Okay, so somebody asked me, it's Jay Oliphant. Are we able to comment on when the front office wanted either Jay or Luke fired? When Mike Brown was the head coach, from what I know, they gave him a choice. They said, we want to either fire Jay or Luke Laux.
Hour number 2. That's James Ham, Kyle Madsen, Joe Brazil on the 1s and 2s. Underdog did not go as well yesterday for me.
Yeah, we didn't have the same response that we had the day before.
Yeah, no, and that's tough. That's tough for us. Download the Underdog app. You don't even have to sign up to just look at the stat projections with us. But we'd love for you to play along. If you do sign up, use the promo code KyleM. All right. So yesterday we had Zach LaVine higher than 20.5 points. I didn't get there. Finished at 14. We had Jimmy Butler lower than half a 3-point made. Yeah, nailed it. Didn't even attempt one.
Why would he?
Yeah.
When you got Quentin Post and Draymond Green and Guy Santos.
You're not going to not let Guy and QP get their shots up.
Moses Moody and Gary
Moses
Payton
Moody's
the
a hooper,
second.
dude. Moses Moody's a good player.
All those guys just hitting all those threes.
Draymond Green higher than 6.5 assists? No, why would you pass it when you're wide open in the corner? And then Keon Ellis, 1.5 steals. I thought I saw him have 2 steals, but no, he's only credited with 1.
Oh, boo.
So, 1 for 4 on that lineup. That's not a winner. But we're back on the horse. It's my favorite. I've got action on the NBA every night.
Yeah, it's fun, right?
Something. Yeah, I always kind of pick a game and try and lock into it. Or if there's like an earlier game and a later game I like, I'll match those in a lineup so I can just focus on each. So when the Kings are playing, though, you obviously know that I'm dialed into the Kings game. Here's what I'm looking at tonight. Kevin Durant made threes. 2.5 is the number. And I'm leaning. Oh, wait. Did they take him off? What the heck?
Uh-oh.
I wonder if there's injury stuff happening with Phoenix, and so they're changing their... Okay, we'll just do the Kings ones for now. Zach LaVine, 20.5 points.
Okay.
Is this a situation where we're going to look at Zach LaVine and we're going to go, we're going higher until he hits it because he's due? Or are we going, he's taken 16 shots his last 2 games. We're going to keep riding that wave and go lower than the 20.5.
The problem that you have is that even though he took 10 shots the one game, he scored 17. And the next night he took 6 shots and still scored 14 last night.
Right.
So all he has to do is take like 12 shots and he's going to get to 20.5. That's the problem. And I don't know.
I'm going higher. I think this is a spot where Doug or whatever player is going to be like, bro, you were brought here to put the ball in the hoop.
Yeah.
Just go do that.
I think it's tough. Like, it doesn't make any sense. When you look at his games, all of his games throughout the season, like most of the low shot attempt games he's had has been with the Kings.
Okay.
You know, every once in a while he had a bad game against when he was with Chicago where he didn't shoot a ton of balls. But at this point, like, why would you take 6 shots? Why would you take 10 shots? Like, everybody in the building knows you're pretty much, if not the best offensive player on the court, you're one of the like top 2, regardless of the teams.
Yep.
Like, it's like Steph Curry, and then it's Zach LaVine last night.
Yep.
There was no one else. Like, Jimmy Butler's nowhere near as good offensively anymore as Zach LaVine.
Nope.
It's just, to me, it's really, really strange that that's kind of the path that that the Kings have chosen, and that they aren't just making him shoot.
Yep.
Like, if I'm his teammates, I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Pick it up now.
Yeah.
Like, do you need me to set a different screen? Do we need to do a double screen?
Yep.
To get you free? Whatever it is, man, you're 4 of 4 from 3.
Yep.
How about you go 8 of 8 from 3?
Yeah.
Or how about you go 8 of 12 from 3?
Sure.
We don't care if you miss half of the next 8 shots. That's fine.
Yeah.
Shoot them, please. But no.
I think it's going to happen tonight.
Okay. I'm with you.
He's going to have like 18 or 20 field goal attempts. And if he does that, I like him to go higher than 20.5 points. What about Keegan Murray? I'm looking at 17.5 points and rebounds.
Ooh.
Keegan's scary because he might score 17 points, but he also might score like 8. And then you need him to get 10 boards, which I don't love. But can I get 12 and 6?
12, so it's 18.
Yeah, is the number 17.5? Yeah, 18 would be the number I'm trying to get.
Okay, and what has he done against Phoenix this season? So if we're looking at the games against Phoenix, we got a 17-4 game, so that's 21, and a 14-14 game. So I say higher.
We're going higher?
We're going higher.
Love it. Okay, very good. And then Malik Monk. Looking at 2.5 turnovers.
Ooh, that seems low.
Right? Especially if he's looking tonight and going, I need to be back at distributing. I need to stop. putting the ball up. Better for us if I'm a distributor.
Yeah.
I need him to dribble one off his foot and throw a couple away.
That and, I mean, the other guy I would look at is Sabonis turnovers, because Sabonis against Plumlee turns the ball over a ton.
Okay.
This is a pretty good turnover team, if I'm not mistaken, the Suns.
I've got Domas at 2.5 turnovers as well.
Yeah, but if he doesn't play, that's the problem.
Yeah, but if he doesn't play, thanks to Underdog with their pick'em game, he just gets removed from your lineup.
No, that's true. And as long as you have someone on another team, you're okay. Yeah, boy. Sabonis, if I'm not mistaken, in the games against Phoenix this season, has turned the ball over a ton.
Okay.
I'm gonna look right now, and just to make sure that we're on the same page here. Phoenix, go all the way down to Phoenix, and then I've got to look up turnovers. Turnovers. Yeah, I was right.
And then is it a lot? How many is it?
7 and 6.
Okay, yeah. So we're going higher on 2.5 turnovers for Domas, but then you need players from more than one team.
Okay.
So I'm jumping up to the Lakers Denver game, and I just want to root for Nikola Jokic, and he's 50.5 points, rebounds, and assists.
Oh, do it.
Yeah, I'm doing it. Okay, great.
More.
Yeah, I'm going higher on that. All right, there's our lineup. Very
there
good.
You go.
Nailed it. I can't wait for Underdog with March college basketball, bro.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be because the first day is a Thursday, right?
Okay.
So there's gonna be games on while we're in here, and I'm gonna have lineups flying. I'm gonna be super annoying on the radio.
I wonder if we can do the
There's
quad.
people like you always are.
The quad.
We have to be able to. It's YouTube TV.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're allowed to plug that. Anyways, download the Underdog app. Sign up now using the promo code KyleM to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus credits when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code KyleM. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus credits instantly upon first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Void where prohibited. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncbgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. He's Joe Brazil. And the Kings play the Suns tonight down in Phoenix, down in the desert. And you've said it's not a big game.
I don't want to say it's not a big game. I think at this point, every game is, you would like to see them win as many games as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And if you lose this game, you're in all kinds of trouble. But I also don't think that there's any way for this team not to be in the play-in. There just isn't enough competition now at the back end of the Western Conference. Now, I look at next week's schedule, and I could see this Kings team losing a bunch of games in a row. Like,
sure.
We talked about it yesterday. Doug Christie, the Kings under Doug Christie had not lost 3 games in a row. Now they have. That was the first 3-game losing streak during Doug's tenure here. Mm-hmm. And I saw someone say, they need to have like a conversation with the team. Doug needs to do the rah-rah speech again. It's like, hey, look, those things, you can't go back to the well on those again and again.
Yep.
They've already had 2 of them.
Yep.
And like, we're at a point where it's like, hey, you have to just move forward.
Yep.
Like, you have to go out there and play better. That's it.
At some point, that's what it comes down to. Like, I know we always look at coaching, but players have to play.
Yeah.
Players have to execute. So, I mean, Doug can only do so much.
No, I totally agree. Now, if it's a schematic thing, like I think last night was, if it was a choice to play the way that they did, where they left the corner threes wide open, with lower percentage 3-point shooters, like not horrible 3-point shooters, but lower percentage 3-point shooters.
Mm-hmm.
If that was the plan last night, then yeah, I think some of it can be game plan cost you,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like tonight, that's not who this Phoenix Suns team is. This Suns team is a holy mess. I mean, what did they lost? Like 11 of 13 or something. Yeah. It's something like maybe it's 11 of 15. They've lost 3 in a row.
11 of 15.
Yeah.
2 in a row, 11 of 15.
Okay. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, they're in a bad spot. And so like if I'm the Kings, I'm coming out here looking for some retribution from last night's loss. You got to have a get right game, right? Because they haven't had one in a while. And the Kings have lost 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not good.
Let's get to keys to victory. James Ham, key number 1.
Let's see. Key number 1 for me is force feed Zach LaVine. I need 20 shots, Kyle. I need 20. I don't care how you get there. You have to tell Zach LaVine, dude, enough. Like, we're not doing a philosophical vacation in the middle of the stretch run. There is no way in any world that you can take 16 shots over 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's all it takes to beat the Kings is to basically do what the Kings tried to do to Steph Curry last night.
Mm-hmm.
If you just throw 2 guys at Zach LaVine and the game's over, well, that's bad.
Yeah,
you know?
you have a way bigger problem than losing to Phoenix at that point.
Yes. Whether Zach is shooting the 3 or he's going to the rim, I don't care. He needs to show up and he needs to take 20 shots.
Yep. That's what it comes down to. I'm right there with you. Number 1 for me, I forgot to write them down in our thing. So defend Jimmy Butler is not my first key.
Okay.
You do, however, have to defend one-on-one.
Yes.
That at some point you have to be able to slide your feet and keep somebody in front of you. And it can't be double KD. Okay, you got rid of him. Oh, it's Devin Booker. We got to double Devin Booker now. Like, nope. You got to defend one-on-one.
Yeah, they have too many players
Yep.
that you have to, in theory, double team. Now, that means you can probably run a little bit of zone.
Mm-hmm.
Their bench is going to be super soft.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can probably once they start taking guys like KD or Booker off the court, or if they take both of them off the court,
Mm-hmm.
like they don't have anyone else that can score. So that's when I could see you go into a zone and like really lining up. But when their stars are on the court, you got to play man up the best you can, and you got to help each other.
Yeah,
for sure. Like rotate.
Team defense matters.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. But that doesn't change the fact that like the Kings have enough healthy defenders that they can probably give them a little bit of a panic here.
Yeah.
And like, look, if that means that Jake LaRavia steals your minutes and you go with, the Keon, Keegan, and Jake LaRavia lineup to like get yourself more defensive versatility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That works for me. Like figure out how to do it. Like figure out how to stop these guys.
Yep. We have the same number 2-ish. What's your number 2?
Let's see. Oh, try to get Malik back in the flow.
Yeah, you need PG Malik tonight.
Yeah, he just has not like
point guard, not cursing.
Yeah.
Point guard Malik.
What you need from him is if Domas plays, get him in 5 or 6 pick and rolls and let him feed Domas and just let him get a rhythm back for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then off of that, I guarantee he will start to create for himself.
Yep.
He'll start finding ways to make other teams, other players better. But you have to start with the basics with him and get him back in the flow of the game.
Yep. That's it, man. You can't let him aimlessly run around and like, am I a point guard? Am I a scorer? What's my job here? Because if I get it up, I'm not giving it back. So how does this? It doesn't matter, dude. Get in the pick and roll, distribute. That's got to be job number 1 for him on this team. We talked about the overlapping parts and guys needing to take on different roles.
Mm-hmm.
That's it for Malik.
I
number
totally
3.
Agree. Number 3. Did we have the same number 2?
Yeah, we had the same number 2.
Okay. Defend the 3, like please, someone. Don't leave the corner wide open.
There's gonna be looks where hey, you rotated. They get somebody running. Get that person who's shooting the 3 in their peripheral, something moving toward them. Maybe they make it still, but it's a lot easier when you get to stand in the corner and treat it literally like pregame warmups.
That's what it was. I mean, the whole entire game.
The lack of effort was to close out was insane on some of those.
They didn't even try on so many occasions.
Yep.
It was like, what are you doing?
Yep.
Like, because I know one of Mike's principles was it's the second and third effort.
Yep.
It's not just the first effort.
Yep.
You got to go chase the second effort. You got to chase. I didn't even see a first effort from some of those guys.
If you saw on the other end of the floor, again, Steph Curry, not a great defender, but every time he is near a 3-point shooter, he runs at him with a hand up. That's the best shooter of all time because he knows that, hey, that can affect a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Just somebody running at him with a hand up. A little more effort on that.
Please.
Number 3 for me, who's the other guy who's going to light it up tonight? Who are you? Keon Ellis was really good last night. The Kings didn't get enough from their starting group. But if you're getting a better game from Zach LaVine and you're getting an effective game from Malik Monk and you're getting an effective game from DeMar DeRozan, who's going to be that other piece that helps kind of lift you when the bench unit's on the floor? Going to be Jake LaRavia? Is it going to be Keon Ellis? Is it a big Trey Lyles night? You need one other guy to do a little bit of scoring.
Yeah, I mean, so last night they got 42 points off the bench from Ellis, LaRavia, and Lyles combined. Like, that's really good. If you can get that, like, on any given night, you're going to win most of those times, you would think.
Yep.
So somebody else is going to have to step up. It's second night of the back-to-back. Even though the guys didn't play 47 minutes or 45 minutes like they did the last on Sunday when you had a back-to-back, that doesn't change the calculus. You're still looking at not only playing a game, but then getting on a plane and flying to Phoenix. And but like there's no time for excuses or no time for reasons or anything else. You have to go play and you have to beat a team that's bad and losing and has no interest in being there.
That's what it comes down to, man. All right. I have a question for tonight's game that I had for last night's game. And I think Doug Christie answered it after last night's game. We'll talk about that. And are we still scoreboard watching? We might dive into it. He's James. I'm Kyle. Joe Brazil's here. We're the Insiders, sponsored by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Center. Yeah, we are.
Okay, so to get back to the question at hand during the last break, yes, from what I know, whether it was management or ownership or whoever it was, went to Mike Brown and said, we want you to fire either Jay or we want you to let go of Luke Laux. At that moment, I don't know why everyone who heard that, because this happened when Mike was still there. We heard about it the week before Mike got fired. First and foremost, Mike said, no, kick rocks. I'm not doing that. Mike said, I'm not firing Jay Triano. I'm not firing Luke Laux and blaming them for what's happening here. I'm not doing it. So that should have, A, told us that Mike is gone like anytime. But B, what it really should have told us was that De'Aaron Fox was gone. Because if you gave Mike the option and he took the option of firing Luke Laux, which, again, he was not going to do. Luke is his guy. But what that would have done with your relationship with De'Aaron Fox was end it right there. Because Luke and De'Aaron Fox are super close. Luke Laux went on De'Aaron and Rasay's honeymoon with them to train with.
Okay.
He was in Italy with them. Like, they are very close. Luke Laux had hired Rasay as like a development coach when he was with the Warriors.
Right. She
was an intern. So, like,
I gotta line up this video real quick. Hang on one second. I think everybody's gonna be able to hear this. Can you take us out of the stream for 1 second? Thanks. We're going to do that, and then we're going to do this. All right.
Yeah, this thing got like weird with all that stuff, with the Mike Brown stuff, and then again, Mike said, "No, I'm not doing it." Keith Reed, did Laux have to leave for FSU, or could he have stayed the rest of the season? Like, why, Keith? Like, if you have a chance to go to your alma mater and start building the program now with all the NIL money and everything else involved, and they want you today, why would you stick around? Because if we know that Luke Laux was on the chopping block for management. Do you think Luke does? The answer is yes.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Joe Brazil behind the glass. James Ham is there. I'm Kyle Madsen. The Kings and Suns tonight in Phoenix. Oh no, my pen broke. Oh, never mind. It's been broke. Never mind. We're good. We're good.
You're okay?
A piece of pen that broke off that I reattached haphazardly fell off.
Well, it's good you have glasses, protective glasses.
Yeah, that's why I wear these. People are like, blue light blocking? And I'm like, no. Pen, little
Shards
clippy
of
thing blocking.
Shards of pen flying at you, potentially hitting you in the eye.
We'll just have this conversation again. Doug Christie, after last night's game, got asked by a friend of the station, Matt George, ABC 10, about, hey, will you make any changes to the starting lineup, given that you've lost 3 in a row and you've looked pretty bad in the last 2? Here's Doug's answer.
No, because we've won a lot of games with Malik in that position. I think that injuries and like when you guys look at it as like this present iteration of what happened. And what you got to understand is that before Domas got hurt, before Malik got hurt, they were starting to find their way as a unit. And once a guy gets hurt, you bring him back. You got to trust them. You got to let them find their game. And it's unfortunate that it's happened at this time. We're going to go the same thing if Domas plays tomorrow. He's going to play his minutes, and it's a possibility that he's rusty. It's a possibility that the flow's not there. Like those are things that happen that are you can't necessarily control. But what you do have to do is you have to trust your guys. They've put in a lot of work. They deserve that opportunity because when they are playing at a high level, it's beautiful to see.
Yeah, I'm out.
I mean,
first of all, you go ahead first. I'm sorry. I don't want to.
Okay, so look,
you go ahead.
The only way out of this is with Malik Monk finding his game and Domantas Sabonis back on the court and being Domantas Sabonis.
Sure.
That's the only way out of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
There is no alternative universe where, again, like we can say Keon Ellis and Jonas Valanciunas are now your starting shooting guard and your starting center, and we're not going to play the other guys because they're not in rhythm with everybody now. Like the only way out of this thing, the only way that you're a good team a week from now, 2 weeks from now, and have any shot to win a play-in game is if Malik Monk looks more like Malik Monk and Domantas Sabonis is back on the court dealing. And so I get what Doug is saying is like, we almost don't have a choice. We have to go put these guys out there because the only way we get out of this, the only way we get back to who we are is if we have these guys playing well.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can be a decent team or a team that scrambles and might be able to pick up a win or two here and there if we don't have those guys playing. But in order for us to be who we were before and who we might be moving forward is if we have these guys rolling. And so you're going to take some hits because of it.
The issue I have with this response is that this is not exclusive to since Domas and Malik got hurt. Hey, maybe try Keon Ellis. And like, no, this has been a thing.
Yeah.
This has been a thing for a while. And when you come out against the Knicks and he gets smoked in the first quarter, and then you come out against Golden State and he gets smoked in the first quarter. And part of the reason he got smoked in the first quarter is because you didn't have Keon Ellis to follow Steph around, so you had to do a bunch of weird stuff and like doubling. Let's remove. I am with all the reasons that you quote unquote can't make this change now. I got it. You got a Hall of Famer in DeMar DeRozan. You got a $43 million dude and Zach LaVine, and Malik Monk used to come off the bench and now he starts, and so he can't go back to the bench. Toothpaste out of the tube, etc. I got it. But just fundamentally, your starting lineup, the pieces fit together better if Keon Ellis starts at the shooting guard position instead of Malik Monk. Or I guess point guard, technically.
Yeah.
Now he's not bringing the ball up the floor. That'll be Levine. That'll be DeMar. We know that.
He brought it up quite a bit last night.
Yeah, but you just need to get the ball across the timeline, get in the offense. And preferably if Domas is there, it's quickly getting it to Domas. But like the pieces just fit together better. Malik Monk is a vastly superior offensive player to Keon Ellis. I will give anybody that is not in question. But when you start talking about how do these players work, and we talk about all these overlapping parts, a lot of players that do the right stuff, we have proof positive that Malik is awesome off the bench.
No, I totally agree.
And we have this issue where you have a bunch of conflicting offensive pieces when he's in your starting lineup. You have 16 games here. And it's like, yeah, we're going to get him on the court and let him figure it out. Domas might be rusty when he comes back. Like, okay, so that's good. Now we're down to 15 games. How many games they need? How many more games they need to gel? Are we going to get to 7 games left in the year? And it's like, man, hey, they're in a fight for the 10 seed. It's like, yeah, but hey, starting lineup's starting to look better, huh?
Yeah.
I'm
with you. It's tough.
They make so much more sense.
They do, but
it's constructed that way.
It's never that as simple as that.
I know it. I know that.
And really, a lot of these decisions, they're not even in Doug Christie's hands. He can say, I can make whatever decision, but really?
Yikes.
Because that's not the way this typically works. And when this decision was made originally to put Malik Monk into the starting lineup, it was not a full-fledged coaching decision. It was an organizational decision. Did Mike Brown have a say in that? Of course, he had a say in it. But was he the only one who had a say in it? Absolutely not. And
I wonder what Jeremy Lamb thinks.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Salute to Sam Amick in The Athletic.
Kyle. Yeah. Yeah, and just to get back to the point at hand, like,
please, sorry,
when Malik Monk got hurt, right? The Kings said they were in the middle of a 4-game win streak.
Mm.
Now, again, we can go back to it. It's Charlotte, Utah, Houston, and Dallas, right? It's not great. And for that matter, Malik Monk wasn't great in any of those games. 13, 13, 16, and 13 points. As soon as he went out, they lost 2 out of 3. And as he's come back, they've really struggled to get back on the right path, even though he had a solid first game back, 7 of 18 from the field. They're still, like, getting him back fully. It should be trying to work him into the system and try to find himself again. Like, that is still your best opportunity to win. And, like, whether it's off the bench or it's as a starter, it doesn't matter. You still need Malik Monk for 30-plus minutes a night, and he has to be right. Because what we saw last night was a player who just did not look right physically at all. And, not only does he have a toe issue, but now he's wearing a leg sleeve. He's not moving well at all. His jump shot is coming up short, like nonstop. The 3-point shot last night, 0 for 5. Like, these are problems that you're going to run into with a player who transitions from a 26-minute per game guy to a 35-minute per game guy in the middle of a season. And, again, I think there's a lot of work that can be done here, but I'm also not anti-Malik Monk as my starting point guard next season. It's just you got to, well, I don't know. If you have someone better, okay. But someone better to me, I don't believe is Keon Ellis.
No doubt. That was not, I'm sorry, that was a reaction to a different. I think one of the things you'd look to do this offseason, not to spin us too far ahead, is to find somebody who can be the point guard so Malik Monk doesn't have to do that.
Okay.
Like, where he can slide over, he can even start still, and he can slide over to the shooting guard spot.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard rumors of the possibility of the Kings chasing player X, whatever. Whatever. But at the same time, we went from a 2-year stretch where, like, please get them length and athleticism at the wings, please. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you really need a backup center as well. Now we're to the point where it's like, okay, you need all of that stuff. You don't need the backup center anymore. You still need length and athleticism at the wings. And, you also need a starting point guard. That's
Man,
tough.
That's
You
really
know,
tough.
like I think tonight you're going to look at, trade Tyus Jones.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm the Kings, I'm looking at Tyus Jones and saying, hey, is there a way to get Tyus Jones on this roster next year? Because
Yeah.
he might be a player that could help you in this situation. And is he going to be a game changer? No, but he could help balance the roster again.
That's it.
And I've said it the whole time,
making the pieces fit together better.
Yeah.
Need connectors.
It's so funny because for so long I was I was like the lone holdout that was saying, do not start Malik. Do not start Malik.
Mhm.
You never start your best 5 players. Everybody says it. Mike Brown said it like very specifically. You start your best 5 players. And if your best 5 players get beat, where do you go from there?
Right.
That's your best. That's the best
Right.
you got.
Right.
So like as the holdout there, it's like, okay, that you can't do it. The minute you did it, it's like, all right, well, first of all, he had run out of options. Mike Brown had. His team was not playing well, and he'd run out of options, and he was trying to find something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then on top of that, once you make that move, I told you then, it was like, okay, it's over now.
Yep.
He's your starting shooting guard or starting point guard for the next 4 years, most likely, unless they change management and unless they change the head coach, or if they change management and management has a big enough say in what's happening to say, no, Malik Monk, the only way we're doing this moving forward is if Malik Monk's in the starting lineup. I mean, is not in the starting lineup if he's coming off the bench and going back to the 6-man role.
Sure.
And hey, like, look, you have a disaster of a season like this. There's nothing that says Malik Monk will be on this roster next year.
It's fair.
The same, I can say the same about, potentially Domantas Sabonis. I can say the same thing about like almost every single player on this roster. I could say there's a really good chance that you're going to hear their name mentioned this summer.
That's there's always been a lot of urgency here, just because this was 2 years removed from their last playoff trip.
Mm-hmm.
And it really felt like, okay, big time changes coming if this doesn't go right. We've already seen 2 with Mike Brown leaving or getting fired and De'Aaron Fox asking out.
Uh-huh.
That's the other key part of all this is Sam Amick wrote it in The Athletic. Hey, there's talk that Domantas Sabonis is going to have the same conversation with the front office that De'Aaron Fox did.
Yep.
Every step down the road toward 1 play-in game and out that this takes, or even 2 play-in games and out that this takes, you get further down the path of Domantas Sabonis having a really tough conversation with your front office. And frankly, DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan said it before De'Aaron Fox got traded.
Yeah.
Like, if he gets dealt, I got to rethink what I'm doing here. That's where this is all. Now, if you find a way into the playoffs, if you find a way to win a round, okay, maybe this looks different. But that seems so far off now.
Oh, it is real, especially after the last 2 games. It feels like we're talking about like such pie in the sky craziness way off in the distance.
And it's like this is the time of year where the teams that are going to make runs need to start playing their best basketball. This is the time of year where you go, hey, you really got to lock. Like, everybody's locking in this point. This is where the games get real. You're fighting for seeding. You're fighting for playing spots. You're fighting for playoff spots. And we're still trying to figure out if the Kings have the right starting 5.
Yeah.
Not a good place to be in.
Like, I see, like, in the chat, I'm going to pull this up from O'Brien. I don't know.
Oberyn? I'm going with Oberyn.
Oberyn. Okay.
The dog wearing glasses.
Yeah. You definitely start your best players, but you also got to build a roster that makes sense. I have been around. This is, I think Doug Christie's my 9th in NBA head coach, either 9th or 10th. I'd have to go back now. It's too many to count.
It's a lot.
Almost every single one of them has had the same exact theory that you do not start your best 5 players, especially your best 5 offensive players, like your 5 best offensive players. You never do that. Like, and the person that taught me that the first time was Paul Westphal. And not only did Paul Westphal believe in that fully as a coach, but mostly it was because he believed in it as a player, because that's who he was as a player. He's one of the most dynamic, ambidextrous players in the league for years. And most of his career came off the bench, including in his first couple of years of his career, when he played for the Boston Celtics at the end of their incredible run and had incredible coaches that were saying the same thing. Like, we need a fifth guy coming in that can do something, a guy coming in off the bench that can do something that can change what's happening on the court.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, was there a time where, Bobby Jackson was a better option at the shooting guard position or point guard position for the Sacramento Kings than the other players they had? What, like pre-Doug Christie and, not when when Mike Bibby got hurt? Yeah, Bobby Jackson was one of the best 5 players on that team. Of course he should start. Never started. Rick Adelman never started him because that's the design. The design is that you have a great 6-man that can change the complexity of a game, bring a different energy, change what's happening on the court, give you another pitch. And that's exactly why Malik Monk makes a lot of sense. And it's why I told you at the trade deadline, if you're going to do this, then go get another Malik Monk. Go find somebody else that plays like him that can bring that energy shift off the bench as an offensive player. I think Jake LaRavia brings that as a defensive player. I think Keon Ellis brings it as a defensive player, but you don't have that other
dynamic enough offensively.
Yeah, you don't have that dynamic offensive player coming off the bench that can make some noise.
Yeah, and the other thing that Oberyn, we're going with O'Brien?
Oberyn?
I'm going with Oberyn.
Okay.
But they also made the point that the roster just has to fit together better. And I agree. But
that doesn't change the 6-man idea.
No, right. And this, I'm going to support your point here. If the Kings had a roster that fit better together, it would make way more sense for Malik Monk to come off the bench.
Of course. Yes.
Like, there would be zero doubt. But right now, it looks dire. It's like, dude, you got to win games. You need to get your best dudes out there, and you just got to figure it out. It's like, but you don't. Because Zach LaVine and Malik Monk and DeMar DeRozan do not fit. Those 3 players fundamentally do not fit together. We are watching it on a night in, night out basis. And sometimes Malik hits a bunch of shots, or sometimes DeMar DeRozan hits a bunch of shots, or sometimes Zach LaVine's going to go 8 of 9 from 3. And it's like, see, it works. It's like, no, the dude just made his shots that night and had an incredible individual night. That doesn't mean the offense is cohesive. There's a version of this roster that can work. And I think one step toward that is making Keon a starter. And that just everything starts to fall into place a little bit better. Because now there's a little less overlap. And then once you bring Malik in off the bench, he has a defined role. This is what you're doing. You don't have to worry about being a starting point guard. You have to worry about feeding DeMar and feeding LaVine and getting everybody their shots. Like, nope, you are the 6-man. You're the microwave scorer. You're going to get in the pick and roll with Domas, and you're going to go do your Malik thing. And be awesome at that. And I think if they did that, I think they'd have start having more success, and it would just make a lot more sense. And we'd go, wow, the roster does make more sense.
And to back your point, you talked about last night how the Golden State Warriors, they put Steph Curry on Keegan Murray.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because they think, well, Keegan is he's just a shooter now.
Yeah, they don't believe that Keegan is going to take advantage of the mismatch.
Exactly. Now, if you reverse that, which player on the Kings would you put on that level of player? If it were the Kings and the other team had the Keegan Murray and you're going to go hide a player, who would you hide on Keegan Murray? Because that's what they're doing with Steph. They're hiding him on Keegan Murray. Right. So who would you hide? Would you hide DeMar DeRozan? Would you hide Malik Monk? Would you hide Zach LaVine on the defensive end?
You have to pick one.
Well, that's the problem. You just lost.
Yep.
That realistically is a problem. You just lost because you have 3 players that you have to hide on the defensive end. That's it. Game over.
Yep.
On one side of the court, you're playing 5-on-3.
Yep.
Most nights.
Yep. It's a tough spot to be in, man. We'll get. I don't know. We got the handoff coming up.
Are we negative?
Sunshine, rainbows coming up next on the Insiders. James Ham, Kyle Madsen, Joe Brazil, Jiffy Lube. Back in a second.
We're not sure who's taking the handoff right up the middle, straight up the middle.
That was just an insane thing. That's so
Drew
funny.
down. Straight up the middle. The fact that they're gone is the worst.
I know it.
Because if we throw them in like
Wait a
once
minute.
every like week,
Yeah.
just like to mess with them, like,
Yeah.
oh, which one am I getting? And then it's like, oh, come on.
Did we do the giveaway? Corner?
Corner.
All right.
Yeah, we did the giveaway. Kenny coming in?
Maybe. Hope so.
I think there is
Thanks, Russ.
ways to fix this thing, but you have to lose one of these players that cause like that are redundant.
A lot of redundancy.
Dang it, John Poles.
Oh yeah, why do we have
We have True TV on or something.
what?
You have to plug it in and unplug it like multiple.
Sir, you don't tell me what to plug in and not plug in.
Yeah, if you plug it into that, you can
Okay.
every time you plug it in, you can make a move on the.
Okay, so I can do one thing.
Sometimes you can do more than one, but most of the time, oh, that's fine.
There we go.
We win. We win. Loyola of Chicago.
The Billikens of St. Louis against Loyola Chicago and Sister Mary or whatever her name was. Janet? What was that woman's name?
I don't know. Was she like 103?
Yeah.
She's still alive?
She's I don't know if she's still with us or not, so I don't want to comment. She was a delight was a delightful lady.
She's a sister, right? Like a nun. Oh. Did we see Manny's? Do we have time?
Yeah, we'll see. It's oh, this is Loyola Chicago, not Loyola Marymount. My bad. Loyola Marymount's in Southern California.
Yeah, that's Hank Gathers.
Sister Jean.
Sister Jean. There you go.
Do you want to know what I typed in to get to that answer? Loyola of Chicago, old basketball fan. And shout out to Google Gemini. It had me. Served as the chaplain at Loyola University Chicago for over 20 years, and her dedication to the university and its basketball team has made her a beloved figure. She's 105 now?
She's still around?
She's still with us.
Hell yeah. That's incredible.
Oh, born in San Francisco. Salute. California kid. Bruh, she was born in 1919. August 21, a Leo. Salute. Let's go.
My grandfather was born in 1919.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
I decided we're scoreboard watching.
We are scoreboard watching?
Yeah, why not? Like, at least, because look, here's how this all goes. I don't think the Kings are going to, like, win handily tonight. They might win. I think Phoenix is favored by 3.5.
Are they really?
Yeah. But if the Kings win and the Clippers lose to the Hawks, oh, you gained a game, you're 3.5 back. Or excuse me, you're a game and a half back of the 8th seed. Like, okay, hey, maybe you can start to, like, it just starts with one single start rallies, as we used to say in travel ball. I played travel ball, not to brag.
Okay.
Clippers at Hawks. Very obviously rooting for the Hawks. Just need these teams in front of the Kings to start losing.
And the Hawks are still hanging tough, right?
Yeah. They've been playing well.
Yeah. I mean, they've got no reason to quit.
No. They're the 7th seed in the East right now.
Yeah. especially their first round pick belongs to the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, they have no reason to tank.
Yeah,
And they just have good players. Like they got, they're the 7 seed. They're 4.5. Yeah, they're 4.5 back on my Detroit Pistons. Pistons lost to the Wizards last night, by the way.
Oh no.
I've been touting the Detroit Pistons all year. Ugh, it's a tough look. You can't lose to the Wizards. So that's an easy one. Rooting for the Hawks tonight. Let's go Ice Tray. Lawrence Butler's favorite team. Mavs at Rockets. You got to pull with the Rockets there. You need that 10 seed to get as separated as far as humanly possible.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, because we're not even talking 6 seed. I couldn't care less about the 5. You're 7.5 back of that right now.
Oh no, that's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, any of that talk is over.
Yeah. So need the Rockets to beat the Mavs. That's an easy one. And then Magic at Timberwolves. I don't know. Timberwolves currently the 7.
Yeah, you'd hope
Get them to lose to Orlando. And
yeah, I think the
Danny
Timberwolves are a team. Again, you're now 4 games back of the Timberwolves. And only 3 in the loss column.
Mhm.
I guess that's one that you could actually potentially. I mean, if you're a Kings fan, you should be hoping that somehow they wake up and they climb up to the number 7 spot.
Right.
Because
if you run into 4 wins in a row here.
Yeah, because the 6 is pretty much out of reach. I think the 5, 6 are totally out of reach at this point.
Mhm.
But can you get to the 7? Because then you get a home play-in game. But then I go to the schedule and hey, we got Casey here.
Yeah, Kenny Garay. Time for the handoff.
Yeah.
There we
So
go.
after tonight, you got Phoenix tonight. Then it's Grizzlies, Cavs. You got a game against Chicago. Bucks, Celtics, Thunder. I got 1 win in that.
Chicago, Milwaukee, Celtics, Thunder.
Well, no, Memphis, Cavs,
Oh.
Bulls, Bucks, Celtics, Thunder.
Ugh.
What do you think, Casey?
You better find a way to get 2.
At least.
Yeah.
You gotta find a way to get 2. Like I said, the whole time, like you playing these teams or whatever that are top flight in the league, you got an opportunity to earn your way in. Like if you can't beat them, then you can't beat them, and you probably won't be where you're trying to get anyway.
Exactly.
So, I know there's usually a contrast between how we look at it as observers, as fans, as media members, and how they have to look at it as players and coaches.
No doubt.
And yeah, it's tough, but find a way. Find a way. You got them at the crib too, so find a way. I don't care if it's the Cavs or the Bulls or whoever. You got to find a way, because you said it earlier, James. The league ain't stopping for you. Ain't nobody feeling sorry for you because you got a tough schedule.
Nope.
Yeah.
So when they get into that practice gym or today's shoot around or whatever, you better find a way to get over yesterday and get ready to win a game today.
That's it.
So.
Are you? Do you have any reason for optimism here?
Optimism in what way?
With the Kings, like you say, like here's what, because we always try and caveat, like I don't feel great about where they're at, but you play games. They're NBA players. Maybe you win 4 in a row here. Like that's just a thing that can happen. That's why they play the sport, right? Maybe win 4 in a row, and maybe they go on a little run here, and this all looks silly. The reaction today after getting beat last night, maybe this all looks silly, but logically or realistically, I don't have any reason to believe that's going to happen. Like if
like so the thing that I think about, and I think the Kings are just like kind of who they are. They're an average to above average team at best. They've got talent, but they've got a lot of deficiencies on the roster and chemistry wise. And the reason why I would say we could be talking differently in a week is because just a week ago we were talking differently.
That's a good point.
You know, I mean, just a week ago we're like, oh man, they won 7-9. Man, look what they did against Denver with 2 of their starters down. And I'm not gonna say we felt great about them, but we felt encouraged.
Yeah.
And then even the Sunday game, like against the Clippers, they played well. It was a tough loss or whatever. Now they've had 2 games, and I'm not saying they're not bad at all, but they've had 2 games, not 22 games, 2 games where they got waxed. And
Man.
that can make people feel differently about them, understandably so. But it's still the same team that had Denver up by 15 the other day with 2 starters down, or played against the Clippers a certain way. So it's like to when you talk about optimism or feel different, like they've shown that they'll probably play well next week.
But I thought they were going to play well last night.
I wasn't really sure. The Warriors are just like they're better and a bad matchup. I never feel good about the Warriors though. Like the way they play, Steph Curry, the movement that they have on the offensive end, they defend really well. I just never have, like, never. And maybe that's just me, but I never really, when they do beat up on the Warriors or whatever, it's like a little bit of a relief. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, damn, this team Steph can always go crazy, and GP2, who never hits any threes, ends up hitting threes against the Kings and all this other. So I never really feel comfortable. I wasn't. I looked at these next 2 games as like, get one of them.
If I had told you held Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler to 6 of 14 and 17 points, you'd have felt like that's a W?
Yeah, man. It's like it's the thing that I always think about, right? Like, I hate to be so simplistic with it, but it is a make or miss league, right?
It is.
Like, because the strategy is sound. Like, if Quentin Post and G Santos and Draymond Green are gonna bomb away and hit threes on it, I'm gonna tip my hat.
Quentin Post can shoot it.
He can shoot it. He can, but if he didn't even go crazy, like he went crazy in the first quarter. But if this is what I've always said, about the Warriors. All right, man. If I'm playing them, Draymond Green, you're gonna have to average 32 because I'm gonna give you every open look. And if you hit, I can't take everything away. I just can't. You're a good team. I can't take everything away. I can't take Steph away, Jimmy, Clay when he was there, and just take Draymond away. I got to give up something. I'm giving up Dre. Dre hit shots last night. Dre was what was he, like 4 or 6 at one point from beyond the arc?
I think the problem is that everybody else did too. I mean, like we talked about, they had 5 guys. Gary Payton, Steph. I mean, Draymond, Post, Guy Santos, and Buddy Hield went 16 of 26 from 3.
Outscored the Kings at the 3-point line. Just those guys.
And I heard you guys talking about like the wide open looks and just not content. Like I get it.
Is that not like you play like Malik Monk out there? Is there not something to like at least pretending to close out?
Yeah,
the amount of times that the Warriors got to just catch it, like spin the ball in their hand, look down, make sure their feet are set, get ready, and just nothing.
No, for sure. You got to halfway get out there, but at the end of the other aspect of that is sometimes that messes with the shooter. The fact that you ain't even coming out at me.
All right. Well, hey, like, when they knock down as many as they did, like you got to do something different.
No, I agree, but and that's why I say make or miss. The Kings, to a certain degree, played the same defense. The 2 wins against the Warriors, they trapped the hell out of Steph, made Looney catch it right there or whoever, and kick it to the other side, and let them shoot, and they missed. And here's what I always kind of push back on sometimes. It's like, oh man, the Kings is locking up out there. That's how they beat them. Not really. They just missed shots. Like even times like, oh man, that defense turned up in the fourth quarter, kind of, but they got wide open looks and missed them.
It just feels like when it's back-to-back games of the exact same thing, it's like, all right, that's tough.
Well, just not showing up in back-to-back games.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's what it felt like. Like you got to a certain point where you're like, they just don't look like they have any shot at all of winning this game.
I was on blowout. Texting with you. I was on blowout alert early. Just looking, I was like, the Warriors are moving faster. They're moving stronger. They're moving with more purpose out there on both sides of the floor. I said, this could get nasty. This could get nasty real quick. Credit to the Kings, I guess. They got back into the game.
They didn't roll over.
They
for
climbed
sure.
back into it, but at that point, it was already too much.
Yeah. We kept going back to that Doug Christie quote from after the Knicks game. That's not us. That's not us. That's not us. That's what he kept saying. And that's why I expected him to look better last night. And they just didn't.
You just can't keep having those tough conversations.
And it can't keep being, that the other team just played harder.
Oh, it's time for a closed door meeting. Oh, it's time for a players only meeting. Like
if last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last night, if you can't go get up to play last ni if you're not treating that game with the proper urgency last night, Golden State should not have wanted that game more than you did.
Agreed. But I'm going to tell you, and there has to be an adjustment. I'm going to tell you, if we up there, we locking up, we've given up Steph Curry and not letting him cook, not letting Jimmy cook, and they kick it out to a wide open Draymond Green for 3, we'll live. We died. Yeah,
that's game high scorer Draymond Green.
Yeah.
Say it right.
We'll live. That's what everybody will live.
Sure.
And we died last night.
Yeah.
Because he killed us.
Yeah.
And Post can shoot the ball too. There was a couple of walk-up threes from Buddy that I didn't like either. And Moses Moody was hitting them too. Like they've got to give a little bit more effort on the defensive end on some closeouts. But
I think it's we got to go. I'm with you guys on D'Lo and KC.
Right,
we'll continue this conversation 12:15. But D'Lo and KC coming up next. James and Joe and I, we're done for the weekend. For Joe Brazil, for James Ham, I'm Kyle Madsen. We have been the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube, here on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. Until Monday at 10 a.m. Drink water. Be nice to people. Woo!